Welcome to SharkCapTable.pro. Keep a bigger bite of equity. We're going to eliminate and we're going to hide the ribbon. We're going to do that by coming up here to the view, clicking on the view. Where it says headings, click it off, leave the formula bar, come way over to the right at the top. There's a little box with an arrow on it. You can't see it because it's out of the range. Say auto hide, and presto, here you are. To review, everything along the top has to do with printing the financial statements. And by the way, to review, any time you click underneath a button, up comes some help. Now, the bottom group is all about navigation. And again, we're going to just use the arrow key, and you can see there's a lot of little helpful hints. So we're going to talk about section 2. So I'm going to click on section 2. And there we are. And we're ready to talk about setting valuation based on a multiple of revenue or EBITDA. Since we've already got some financial projections, we will be working off of the revenue or the EBITDA. So the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to go down and look at what we have here. These two have to do with the exit value and either the revenue, or in the case, if we adjust this, we can show the EBITDA. Right now we're going to use revenue. We're going to use the high revenue. We're going to leave it fully diluted. I would not change that to voting because it's going to obstruct your true valuation. Now, the next two here have to do with the revenue and EBITDA multiples. This is the revenue, and this is the EBITDA. Now, these two things, you'll see apparently what happens here is that when we play with this pink button, suddenly some of these red buttons will show up, and I'm going to show you what actually happens. We're going to set it to number 1. Number 1, as you can see, creates a spin button under each one of these in each year. For example, I can take revenue and EBITDA separately. I can come in here and increase it. I can come down here and decrease it. I can come over here and take this guy, and I can move all these independent of one another. Now, if I go in and do 2, you can see that we have erased or hidden the spinner underneath. See, there is no spinner underneath the revenue. What's left is the spinners under EBITDA, and we now suddenly have a blue spinner. Well, that blue spinner says revenue change globally. Watch the revenue. I just have one button, and all of the revenues change automatically. Now, if I go to number, and I can still come in here and change independently the EBITDA. In case you forget it, right underneath the spin button is the name. Now let's go to number 3. It says revenue separately and EBITDA globally. So guess what? Now all the revenue multiples have the spinners. Those for the EBITDA are hidden, as is the name. And just to prove it, we can come in here and see we independently change the multiple. Now you might be asking yourself, why do we want to do this? Well, if you're super lazy, just use the basic global. But some people with a little more sophistication might say, right here in year 5, we're going to have a big bulge in revenues because we got a contract coming on. And well, that's when we want to sell the company, and we want to have a little higher multiple of revenue because it looks like we're going to really zoom ahead in the years following. So we've given you both chances. And of course, if I adjust the red button, as you can see, the EBITDA is changing globally. They're all the same, 64, 64, 64, and so forth. And let's go to number 4. Well, here, it now just shows the two globals. If I press the blue one, all the revenue multiples change the same. And if I press the red one, all the EBITDA multiples, just like it says here. So I'm going to leave it like this. I'm going to move it down to about 5 times EBITDA and about 3 times revenue, or maybe 2 times revenue. There we go. Now, a couple of other features in this. Notice down here we've got these buttons, and I've alluded to the fact that we're now looking at the valuation, which is the exit value in the green, which is represented by the chart. See, 12 million, 12 million, 5 million, 5 million. And this shows the high revenue. See, it says revenue right there. And here's our, actually it says revenue right here. And the revenue comes in right there. So you see 6 million, 6 million. Huh, that's interesting. The little arrow goes behind the guy. Well, anyway, this is just a picture of an arrow. It's so you could see it easier. So now, one other thing that we could do, we're going to come down here and we're going to change the revenue. Just look at the valuation here for million. We go back to low. Now it's 640. Mid is 800. And gotta get it. It takes a couple seconds sometimes for this to calculate, so be patient. There it goes, high value, 1 million. So we can also come in here and change it from revenue to EBITDA. So there we go, there's EBITDA. So we'll flick back and forth. See, it was $1 million for revenue, and everything else being the same, it's 725. All right, so this pretty much is your lesson on how to set your multiples. How big the multiples should be? Well, the rough rule of thumb is 1 to 2 times revenues and 4 to 5 times EBITDA. People will try to get 3 or 4, 8 times revenues and 7 or 8 times on EBITDA. It all depends upon the profitability and especially the rate of revenue growth. If you look at Uber, they don't make any money. In fact, they're losing money. But the thing is valued at multiple billions of dollars because its revenue growth is tremendous. In all of these cases where they're losing money, what they're doing is they're trying to generate huge sales by marketing and opening up markets and doing advertising and hopefully capturing as many dollars as possible. Then they'll come back and try to make profits later. It is a strategy that seems to work, especially if you're a first market mover. If you're near the tail end of something, then you probably have to make some money early on because you're not going to grow fast. All right, so now you are up to date on the number 2, which is all about setting valuation based on multiple of revenue or EBITDA.